Good day to all. Welcome to Practical Research 2. We are already on week 6 of our module. And once again, I will be your teacher, Relly D. Castro, for this subject. Let's read the general instructions before we start. You have to answer all the questions, drills, activities, and assessment on a separate sheet of paper, which will be submitted in the designated drop boxes on your barangay. Include your name, grade, and section and part of the module you're answering, the date of submission, and complete answer for all the tasks given. Also have your answer sheet signed by your parents. There is no need for you to copy the question on the answer sheet. Just make sure that you follow the instructions properly and write your answers legibly. In doing this, follow this template or an example below. Now, the title of our topic for today is Presenting Written Statement of the Problem. At the end of the module, you should be able to discuss the basic concepts of statement of the problem, enumerate its element, and familiarize with the content and use the proper format in writing a good statement. Okay, we have several activities, pre-activities that you have to accomplish before we start with our lesson. First activity, let us read the directions. Read the statement carefully and tell whether it is true by putting a check mark and a cross mark if it's false on the space provided on each number. So this is a simple true or false. So you just put check if the statement is true or write X if the statement is false. So you can pause the video and scan the questions and then we move forward afterwards. Okay, for the second activity, read and analyze the given scope and delimitation below, then answer the following questions that follows. Okay, and for our third activity, so identifying a problem or issue before doing a research paper is the first and most important step in any research study. Statement of the problem is an area or part of a research paper that contains an in-depth discussion about the main issue or problem. To check your vocabulary skills about the topic, do the activity below. So the direction is first you read the poem and also answer the question that follows. So the topic of our discussion for today are all about statement of the problem. So statement of the problem can be considered to be as one of the most important parts of the research process because the research or the study revolves around the statement of the problem. So what is a statement of the problem? Now, the well-targeted problem and issue that needs to be addressed by the researcher is written in the statement of the problem. So that's why I told you it's very important. Uh, yung kasing goal or yung target natin in doing research revolves around the statement of the problem. It contains a well-specified discussion of the issue and the goal of the study. So within the statement of the problem, dito natin makikita yung specific discussions or yung specific goals and target natin in doing the study. Commonly, this part of the research paper is brief and does not elaborate the problem too much, but it is direct in stating the main problem and ways on how it can be solved. So like any part of the research process itself, a statement of the problem should be brief and concise. Okay? Now, writing a good research question is essential for it helps a researcher to gain a focus on the study. The primary purpose o yung purpose natin, kaya ginagawa natin yung statement of the problem, is it help us, it serves as a guide para dun sa research natin, para dun sa study natin, so we can focus on the goal itself. It also serves as a guide. It contains specific questions that must be answered in a systematic process. So like I've said, the statement of the problem, nagsisilbi siyang parang gabay natin or guide natin in doing the study itself. So within the statement of a problem, meron tayong mga specific questions that we actually formulate ourselves na kailangan nating masagot. Okay, so of course we answer it in a systematic process. Commonly, a statement of the problem is not written laboriously but is simple, short, and concise. Again, like any part of the research process itself, the statement of the problem should also be simple, short, and concise. So direct. Okay. Now, the statement of the problems contains two elements. So, ano yung dalawang elements natin? So, the first element is objectives or goal of the study. And the second element is a set of research questions. So, let's talk about these two elements one by one. Unahin natin yung objectives of the study. So, the objective of the study is actually the first paragraph of the statement of the problem. It is a brief statement of the main issue or concern which is stated in the part of the paper. So in the statement of the problem, you are going to be giving a brief statement or a brief discussion about the main issue. Okay? Or yung study natin mismo. I-discuss nyo briefly. After that, the researcher should also mention about how the problem should be addressed and the main objective or target of the study. So, on the latter part of the objective of the study, kailangan din natin i-discuss dito o i-mention dito ano yung plano natin in addressing the issue and also what is our main objective or target of the study. Now, take a look at the figure at the right. So, in figure 1, an objective of the study should be like an arrow. Okay? It should be focused and clear and make sure that the target is hit. So, yun yung primary purpose ng objective of study. So, para daw siyang isang arrow na diretso lang ang takbo papunta doon sa target natin. Okay? So, here is an example of the objective of the study within the statement of the problem. So, the title of the study for this particular research is Anxiety and Stress Levels Perceived by the Community People During Quarantine. So, let us read the objectives of the study. So, home quarantine is a condition where people are not allowed to go out except when buying necessities. During this pandemic, a lot of people experiences anxiety and stress because of the new normal. The people needs to follow. Anxiety and stress levels can alter a people's daily tasks and activities and may result in great danger. The study aims to know the anxiety and level of stress perceived by the people in the community during the quarantine period. Now, what did you notice on the objective of the study? Like I've said before, the first part should be a discussion about the issue, and the latter part should be you're going to be stating the objective of the study itself. So, kung mapapansin nyo, on the first few sentences, pinapaliwanag ng mga researcher yung issue ng study nila, which is all about home quarantine, anxiety and stress related to home quarantine within the community. And then on the latter part, actually on the last sentence, kung mapapansin nyo, they stated the aim, kung ano yung gusto nilang mangyari in doing the study. So that's the first part of the statement of the problem. So that is the objective of the study, first element. Now, for the second element, ito yung set of research questions natin. Now, so ano ba yung tinatawag natin na research questions? Now, research questions are a set of questions that leads into answering the main issue or concern of the study. So basically, yung research questions natin are questions that we actually formulate. Yung researchers mismo yung nag-formulate kung saan hinugot nila yon dun sa main issue. Okay? Or yung main topic ng study natin, that can actually help us para matulungan tayo in answering the main question or in arriving at the main goal of our study. Now, it is an answerable inquiry into a specific concern or issue and considered an initial step in a research project. It directs you to the things you want to discover about the topic. The topic is the general problem or issue that researcher wants to solve. So basically, that's your research question. So imagine this na meron kang topic at para masagot mo yung topic na yon, you need to formulate several questions and then answer those specific questions using the research process itself before we can arrive at a final conclusion. Now, take a look at the figure on the right. Researchers should have a clear understanding of the topic for them to develop a good statement of the problem. In developing a research question or the set of research question, tayo mga researcher, dapat meron tayong clear understanding tungkol doon sa topic natin. So dito na papasok yung yung nagbabasa tayo, we do our own research about the topic. So we should be knowledgeable about the topic itself before you can actually formulate your research questions. Okay, so here's an example of your research questions. Again, from the same research topic na ginamit natin kanina. So, anxiety and stress levels perceived by the community people during quarantine. So, take a look at the set of research questions na formulate ng mga researcher regarding sa topic na to. Now, specifically, the study aims to answer the following questions. Number one, what is the level of emotion of a person with anxiety and stress? Number two, what are the anxiety coping mechanisms, activities done by people to alleviate stress and anxiety? And number three, did stress and anxiety affect the daily activities of the person? So, anong napansin nyo? So, in this particular case, you can see that all of these three questions should be answered. Kailangan natin itong masagot using a systematic process, which is the research itself, para masagot natin yung primary topic natin, which is the title of your research. So that is the goal of the set of research questions. So it is done together with the objectives of the study. So basically, those are the two elements, okay, of the statement of the problem. Okay, now let's talk about format in writing statement of the problem. The statement of the problem usually presents three main parts. So that is the ideal, the reality, and the consequences. So these are the three parts that we have to consider whenever we are writing the statement of the problem. So let's talk about it one by one. Now, the first one is yung tinatawag natin na the ideal. So this contains the ideal situation. It shows how things should really be. Identifying the ideal scenario can help the researcher identify and show the problem in a present situation. So now, when you are writing your statement of the problem, you have to first think of the ideal first. Ano ba yung ideal scenario? What is the ideal situation? In in doing so, you can actually imagine what will be the possible problem, okay, in reaching the ideal. Yung ideal kasi, that is our goal. Yun yung goal natin. Now, let's use the picture on the right as an example. So take a look at the picture on the right. The environment is an important part of people's lives. It should not have any waste and pollution. It shows how pleasant our environment is and no problem can be seen. So if you're going to be looking at the picture on the right, that is the ideal environment. Okay, no pollution, maraming puno, malinis ang tubig, there is no problem. So yun yung ideal, yun yung goal natin, yun yung target natin. Now, the second part of the statement of the problem is yung reality. Ano yung totoo? Ano yung talaga nakikita natin? Now, the reality contains the present situation. It shows the problem or issue by showing the gap between the ideal and the reality or present situation. Now, in a reality, dito naman i-imagine ninyo, what are the problems na na-encounter natin before we can actually reach the ideal scenario. So, ito yung gap. Ito yung magiging gap natin. Okay, between our ideal and our reality. Now, again, let's use the picture on the left, an example. In our present society, the environment is really facing a great danger because of pollution. This presents a pose and a great danger the to the health of the people and animals. The problem in this part should really be expressed by the researcher. So, ito yung contrast. Ito yung kabaligtaran ng ideal natin. If you're going to be looking at the picture, kanina kasi, sa ideal natin, the environment is very clean. Okay? In the reality, it's the opposite. So, sa reality natin, pinapakita natin yung mga problems that can actually hinder us to achieve the ideal. In this scenario, that would be pollution, garbage, everything is dirty, okay, which can greatly or vastly affect the health of the people and even animals and plants in the environment. Now, the third part is yung consequence. Now, the consequence, this contains the good and the bad effects of the reality. This part should fill in the gap between the ideal and reality part of the issue or problem. In the image below, you can see how now the obvious issue and problem that the researcher should address. So, in the consequence, you are going to put your ideal and then your reality side by side. Okay? In order for you to gap, okay, the difference between the two. Okay? So those are the three parts that we can actually use to help us in writing the statement of the problem. Okay? Now, in now that we know the what is stated of the problem, what are the different components of the statement or elements of the statement of a problem in the format, let's look at an example. Tingnan natin kung nagamit ba nitong example na to yung lahat ng pinag-usapan natin before. Now, the title of the study are the factors affecting the academic performance of students in physics. So, basahin natin. So, as I've told before, the first paragraph should contain the objectives of the study. So, physics is a branch of science that deals with concepts such as force, energy, mass, and charge. Students' academic performance may be affected by several factors and may result to a high or low academic performance in the subject. This study aims to know the different factors affecting the academic performance of students in physics. Specifically, this study seeks to answer the following questions. So, if you're going to be taking a look at the first paragraph, the first paragraph contains the objective of the study. It's not just the objective of the study. Sa first part, mapapansin nyo, nagkaroon ng discussion, a short discussion about the topic or the issue itself. And then on the latter part, kung mapapansin nyo, doon in-state ko ano yung aim ng study. So, if you will analyze the paragraph follows the ideal format of the statement of the problem by showing the idea, the reality, and the consequences. So, yung ideal natin, yung first part, wherein ina-explain nga dito kung ano yung ideal concept ng physics natin. So, physics is a branch of science that deals with concepts such as force, energy, mass, and change. Doon naman sa susunod is yung reality. Students' academic performance may be affected. So, pwede ito maapektuhan yung students' academic performance with several factors sa pag-aaral nila ng basics. So, that is the ideal, the reality rather. Now, and also the consequence is also presented here. Okay? So, yun yung first part natin. Now, for the second part of the statement of the problem, makikita naman natin dito yung set of research questions. So we have three set of research questions. So the first one is, how may the profile of the respondents be described in terms of age, gender, number of siblings, and monthly income? Number two, how may the academic performance of the students be described in terms of the following factors: financial capability, learning techniques, and motivation skills? And number three, is there a significant relationship between the factors and the academic performance of students? So let us analyze that. The second part of the statement of the problem is the research question. So these are your research questions. Research questions, as discussed in the previous modules, have different types. The types of questions used will determine the type of research and the statistical tool to be used by the researcher. The question should be specific enough to target the main issue of the paper. So basically, importante yung pagko-conceptualize natin or pagko-formulate natin ng research questions because it will direct us kung ano yung gagawin natin in the research process itself. The research question is also going to be the one that will actually dictate us kung ano bang research methodology yung gagamitin natin and what is the ideal statistical tool that we're going to be using. Okay? So those are the two parts or the two elements of your statement of the problem. And that ends our discussion. Okay, so let us now proceed with our post activity. So let's start with post activity number one. So the direction is put a check mark on the true column if the statement is correct and put a cross mark on the wrong column if the statement is incorrect. So again, this is a true or false questions. So you put a check mark if it's correct and you put an X mark if it's incorrect. Now, for the second activity, So the direction is read and analyze the description given on each number and look for the term being described on the word below. So this is basically your identification. So you're going to be identifying what is being asked by the questions. The good thing about this is meron kayong pagpipilian dun sa taas, dun sa may box natin. So piliin nyo lang kung ano yung dinidescribe ng question. Okay. Now, for the next activity is fill me in. So, directions, complete the sentence by writing the correct terms on the space provided. So, basahin nyo yung paragraph and then fill in the blanks. Kung ano yung hinahanap, yun yung isusulat nyo. Okay. For the next activity, below are set of terms discussing the lesson in your own words. Define and explains the term given. So, meron tayong mga terms dito. So, statement of the problem, element of the statement of the problem, format in writing the statement of the problem. So, I want you to give your own discussions on how you understand these particular terms and topics. Okay, next. So the direction for this is read and analyze the statement of the problem given below. Identify the parts of the statement of the problem. So we have an example of the statement of the problem. Okay, meron tayong example niyan. Okay, and I want you to, after reading the example, I want you to identify the different parts. Ano yung ideal, ano yung reality, ano yung consequences, what are the research questions presented in your statement of the problem. Okay, for the next activity, complete the statement of the problem by filling the blanks with the necessary information. Okay, so for this one, meron tayong, again, another example of the statement of the problem. And I want you to read it and fill up the blank spaces. Okay, so fill in the blanks ulit tayo. Okay, fill in the blanks. Okay, for the next one, the direction is think of two research topics that you encountered in your community and write a complete statement of the problem. So for this one, use your topic, yung mga topic na ginamit natin dati. For example, dun sa mga previous discussion natin. So yung mga chosen topic nyo na yun, so pili kayo ng isa and then formulate a statement of the problem tungkol doon sa topic na yun. So may guidelines naman tayo dito. So the first part is you write your objectives. The second part is you describe the independent variable. The second part, number 2 is describe the dependent variable. Number 3, determine the significant difference between the independent and dependent variable. Number 5, significant effect, impact, and influence. Okay. Now, for our assessment, so this will be a multiple choice. So you're just going to be choosing the letter of the best answer. So just write your answer on your answer sheet. Okay, on a separate sheet of paper. Okay. Okay, for the second part of the assessment, so true or false. So write true if the statement is true and false if it's false. If the statement is false, change the underlined words to make the statement correct. So this will be your modified true or false. So what you're going to be doing is you read the statement. If the statement is true, you just write the word true. And if the statement is false, you change. You change the underlined words to make it true, to make the statement true. Okay, so that sums up our lesson for today. I hope I hope na nakatulong yung video natin for you in answering the module. And of course, good luck. And I'll again be seeing you on our next topic.